days ago, England ladies lost in a heartbreaking semi-final to Japan to a crowd of 31,000 people. Women's football had finally come of age. The media exploded with the news about the revolution of women's football. If only it was true. Nearly 100 years ago, 11 female factory workers from Preston played a football match to a crowd of 53,000 people. A further 14,000 were locked out. We are told that women's football is the best it's ever been, when in reality, nearly 100 years have passed and we've not even come a full circle. Despite the recent flurry of women's sports coverage, as a football player myself, I've been able to see the negative impact the media has had on public attitude. I was 8 years old and on my way home from football training when a woman approached me handing out little stickers to young children. So she hands me a sticker and she says, "Here you go, young man." Yes, I was in my football kit, and yes, my hair wasn't great at the time, but young man. If only the media gave us women more than a patronizing pat on the back for coming so far, and actually accepted there's still a huge difference in the amount of funding, coverage, and appreciation us women receive compared to the men's, then real progress might actually be made. Now, I'm not saying women's football gets no attention at all. I'm just asking all of you. Is it really fair last year's winners of the Men's Premier League, sponsored by Barclays, received £99 million, and the winners of the Women's Super League, sponsored by Continental Tires, received nothing? So as I mentioned earlier, nearly 100 years ago, 53,000 people watched a female football match. And then the men returned from the First World War, and the FA realized that these women's teams, they were getting more attention than the men. So the FA banned women's football from being played on any FA-affiliated clubs or grounds. In effect, the FA put women's football in a box and closed the lid. The reason they gave for the ban? The female body is too fragile and it might affect our childbearing ability. This meant that incredibly talented football players, such as Preston ladies winger Lily Parr, who still today holds the all-time scoring record for being the top scorer, wasn't able to make a living from football. She scored nearly 1,000 goals in her career. David Beckham, he scored 97. So as I mentioned earlier, 100 years ago, football teams were getting more appreciation than they are now. Well, this is a message to the male-dominated FA and the media that this recent interest in women's football is no temporary situation. This time, we are not going back in our box because women's football is here to stay.